2025 certainly has been one of the years ever, during which every sane person asked themselves at least once why the world is currently ruled not by kind, smart and cool people, but rather by fascist, dumb and annoying people. AI slowly takes over every single aspect of our lives while also further accelerating the destruction of the environment. Global markets and economies are all over the place. Wars being waged upon the most miserable of people. The gap between rich and poor is ever widening, and watching the news feels somehow more satirical than watching Idiocracy or South Park. All this and much more has taken a toll on everyone, including me. So what better remedy than to flee into the beautiful world of video games and reminisce about what actually brought me joy during those trying times. Coming up is a collection of short reviews of games and demos I played this year. Most of the games came out this year as well. Some are officially from late 2024, but had at least one major update during this year. Some are officially released or in early access, but have further updates planned, so we got a little bit of everything going on. And I hope you discover something new to play or something to look forward to. Let's jump right into it, shall we? If you could revive a game genre or create a new IP with concepts that are not that present in modern gaming anymore, which one would you choose? High-speed futuristic racing? Virtual chess? Or shmup? What if I offered you WarioWare Inc. meets visual novel-style storytelling wrapped in a cyberpunk setting, coated with a colorful and cool edgy cartoon pixel art style? If that was your idea at the start of the paragraph, I got just the game for you. Mindwave. Meet Pandora, a 16-year-old teenage girl with a wardrobe that would make Kurt Cobain jealous. She wins a spot in a Mindwave competition by pulling a golden ticket out of a soda. So what is Mindwave? Mindwave is a competitive game two people play inside of each other's head, and the games you have to win are product of whatever is going on in your opponent's mind. We learn about the innovations and possibilities, but also some very worrisome aspects about this so-called game. Pandora, for example, is what us gamers would call a total noob at Mindwave, giving her violent headaches even when playing during the safe calibration/tutorial procedure. You can talk to Roxy, who reveals that she is a professional Mindwave esports competitor. She tells the story of one of her teammates who she's training with, that he's convinced a memory that belongs to Roxy springs from his own life and mind. Or you can meet Abby, a very young girl who only recently moved to the city, and she's just adorable and must be protected at any cost. Just like any other competitor, she enlisted in the games by acquiring a golden ticket. This means she got a square and fair chance like anyone else at the tournament. But it also means she was dragged in there by pure coincidence, and she answered the call of the lottery out of sheer curiosity and to make new friends. Aww. But also... The demo concludes with us fighting, well, it could be anyone, as Pandora also rightfully fears. It could be some sick freak who lures unsuspecting people into his weird mind games. Literally. Up until now we only saw some glimpses of Pandora's mind, which is made out of, I'd say, very normal teenager thoughts, a little gloomy but still very creative, a little edgy but still very playful, a young woman trying her best at life while still being able to dream. And we have to lobotomize the little girl. What follows is one of the coolest and cutest sequences I have ever witnessed in a video game. The colors, the different styles, the animations, it is pure bliss. The music is an instant earworm. Abby's mind is all about having fun, with all the childlike wonder that comes with it. And I find it amazing how they manage to portray this with all the means at their disposition, without it really breaking with the more gloomy style that reigned up until now. I'd say this is a perfect demo. The art, the sounds, the vibes, the pacing, all of it just makes me want to play more. It doesn't take longer than half an hour if you don't go back to talk to everyone in the first hall, cause you only can talk to up to 2, and they are like 6 or so. So yeah, this is Mindwave. I highly recommend you try it out. The project got generously kickstarted and I can't wait to play a full game that can uphold this kind of quality over multiple hours. My hopes are high, so let's let them cook. Go wishlist it or show your support in any way to the devs if you like this. Next up we got another demo for a game that I'm very excited about because it follows in the footsteps of games like Earthbound or Liza, and by extension maybe also games like Undertale. Peace hasn't been an option though. Introducing Away From Home. Meet Abby. Abby? Again? What's with his name? Well, this Abby is a bit different from the previous Abby. Also, it is spelled differently. Anyway, Abby is a young girl with undisclosed age. I'd say young teenager. And her brother Michael, who is even younger. They are tropey siblings, Abby being a bit bratty and more easily annoyed by many things, mainly by her little brother who displays a more playful but also calmer and let's say more diplomatic behavior. This becomes very clear very early in our first encounter, as Michael wants to play hero and villain, but Abby goes in with real punches. Ow! But you know, didn't we all do this at some point with a sibling? We exit the realm of mundane sibling quarrels when we finish Michael, and Abby transforms into this crazy muscular bodybuilder and gives her brother a punch he'll probably remember his whole life. This sequence, but also the whole design, scratches so many itches for me. It's clean and precise, but also wacky and totally over the top at some points. The devs underline that they take pride in their pixel art, and I am eager to see what they can do. After that, more growling ensues. Of course. But that comes over and brings you back together with a nice bedtime story. Very sweet. Also very interesting. Here for the first time you can choose between two options. An obviously nicer one and a meaner one. If I read the game's description correctly, this means our decisions shape the story and relationships with characters over similar aspects. And I find this really cool, from a gameplay but also story perspective. Over the duration of this short demo, Abby stays pretty cranky and bossy and has no issue to always resort to violence. I like her as a character in the context of the game, but as a person, I probably would not. But let's be real. A game about two kids setting out into the big world where you already get attacked by evil mushrooms in your own front yard might be a good reason to be a little annoyed and prone to violence. Even Dad understands this, and he leaves you his sweet attack to protect you against crotch having threats? Thanks, Dad. I know just the guy to test this on. This demo is very short and gives mere glimpses into what this game might be about. The trailer, on the other hand, gives a ton of snippets and teasers that look very promising. If I understand correctly, the dev team is kinda young-ish, so I trust they know how to tell a story from a younger person's perspective. And I cannot stress enough how cool I find the look of this game with all its facets. I am led to believe that this is not all sugar-coated though, as many characters seem to be extremely mean, in an aforementioned Earthbound or Liza kind of style. And it seems to get even darker as we are vaguely introduced to a shadowy figure that assaults the kids, seemingly on a regular basis. I can only hope that at the end of the day a well-placed crotch crater can save our heroes from any ordeal. All in all, this seems like a very ambitious project with only a few but very talented people behind it, and I can't wait to see the results. Go show them some love if you think this game is down your alley. Newsflash from the future! By the time this video is released, the whole game has also released. I will not have had time to play and review it in full, but you go do it. No spoilers though, please. You are old, you are cranky, and you are stubborn. However, a handful of pips follow you into the unknown, trusting that you can lead them into a prosperous new life. Welcome to Dotage. Let's get the genre-defining terms out of the way so we can understand what Dotage is. I'd call it a turn-based town builder survival strategy roguelite. I guess most people watching this can imagine what all these words mean, but stitch them together and the result is a very deep and complex, yet cozy and relaxing experience that feels very fresh and is very addicting. Look at my time, oh my god. You see, at first you concentrate on sustaining your population. Those folks are called pips. And also folks. Anyway, you gotta always, and I mean always, monitor this section of the screen, as it is the basic lifeline of everything you do. Other sections also have to be monitored, but I will try to keep it basic. Pips, like everyone, need to eat. Pips can also work to produce food or other things. Every turn, every pip can do one thing, unless they are a child or incapacitated for some reason. So we have to gather and produce, expand and procreate, and everything will be fine. Easy cozy game, right? Wrong.
During the endless dark nights, the dissonant trumpets of fallen angels from the Shadow Realm announce the inevitable end of all that has existed. The cries of men and women alike will echo through eternity, their children unborn, their dreams unfulfilled, their life just a brittle facade in the face of the end of all times.
After a couple days of settling in, your elder has a terrible vision of the incoming apocalypse. Yeah, I know, kinda dark for a game that looks this cute. Over the course of the coming hours, we will be confronted with ever-increasing odds against 4 major antagonist entities. There's a little bit of lore there, but you can basically break it down to that nature and God hate you and want to see you and your kind dead. On top of that, slap some random events that go from a baby finds 5 apples in the woods to everyone gets ligma and dies in 5 turns. Those are only slightly influenceable and not at all predictable, so buckle up and expect the unexpected. As a quick heads up, I have not enough footage to underline everything with precise images. For this video I started a new run and I played like an hour, as full runs take multiple hours, and there are some more games I wanted to cover. Consider the friendly spoiler protection because there's a lot to discover. Okay, so the apocalypse is coming. How effed are we? Not at all, it is barely an inconvenience, because we can counter God with capitalism. I mean, we need to seize the means of production and... Wait, is this communism then? Whatever it is, we simply generate appropriate counter-resources to whatever plague is befalling us. Disease is countered by medicine, fear is countered by hope, extreme temperatures counter each other, and cataclysm is countered by... praying at the hippie shrine? There are multiple options for each. The final outcome, however, will be decided by a dice roll unless you have double or more of the necessary counter resource. So we also kill God with gambling somehow. Careful planning and consulting the very handy prophecy Grams has written down are the key to survival. Keep on keeping on and maybe you and your pips can overcome the apocalypse. Yeah, I think this is it. A small glimpse into a huge game of which I feel I've only scratched the surface. There's a ton of meta progression to be made, ever increasing the odds and the possibilities of your runs. There are several different elders, all with their own unique perks and maps, and the differences between them are incredibly varied. I'd say easy to learn, hard to master actually applies very fittingly here. Difficulty tweaking is an option, so don't feel discouraged right away. There's a demo which I highly recommend you try first so you can decide if you like it or not. Your progress carries over into the full version, so double yay and thumbs up. Love this game. We are so back, baby, oh my god! What a glorious time to be alive, what a joy to behold. Heroes of Might and Magic gets a new entry that apparently counts as a prequel to the whole series. But what can I say, this is just Heroes of Might and Magic 3 remastered. Oh! The trailer already looked phenomenal and I had to dive immediately into the demo. And I can confirm this game is an absolute blast. I only experienced Heroes 3, but I have you know that that's a game you could spend your whole life on. Olden era scratches all the right itches. Basically everything I know and love is present. Some aspects have changed or been improved on, and they can drastically influence the odds regarding you winning a battle or you being absolutely flattened like a soggy pancake. For example, units don't only have one upgrade path, but 2 or even more. This drastically increases the pool of units you can choose from, leading to more variety or precise combinations in your army and the ability to be more reactive to specific threats. Those variations come in flavor like tankier upgrade versus more powerful upgrade, or different special abilities. There's a lot to discover here, and mix and matching the right upgraded units will give you a considerable edge in battle. Then there's the heroes themselves, that can upgrade not only the active and passive abilities and spells, but also level towards different choosable classes that can give you a tremendous buff in specific domains. All things considered, I got my ass absolutely handed to me the first 2 games I attempted. At first, all was going well, but as soon as I encountered an enemy hero, I was done for. I didn't feel like my economy or my army struggled, but I got my ass handed to me quite spectacularly. Maybe I missed something, or I was just not aggressive enough in my expansion or fighting. I'm not a pro-level gamer of these types of game, but I usually find my way around. It was a demo after all, and maybe it was not all 100% balanced as it is intended. I will not dispute that I probably made mistakes or dumb decisions, okay? My experience with this demo was great. I love the art style and the presentation. So nostalgic yet fresh. Gameplay is as brilliant as always. Just what it needs to be, plus a few new interesting mechanics to explore. I can't wait to play this with friends, and I believe this will be a welcome and refreshing take on an old formula that has often been copied, yet often diluted with many other mechanics. Which is not necessarily bad, but many games often got rid of many of the core elements of Heroes that made it unique in the first place. This game is Heroes of Might and Magic through and through, with a few extras as a cherry on top. For the... Heroes? I have zero information on the lore of this game. Often it has been attempted, emulated, replicated. Games that want to look and be like a game from a very old console, be it audiovisually, mechanically or both. He Is Coming is a game of which I am low-key certain it could run on an NES system, maybe a Game Boy Color. The graphics are stripped down to single-colored tiles and characters. The music is chiptune-y retro goodness, and gameplay basically is very simple math problem solving. What does this mean? In He Is Coming, you play as a lone warrior in a cursed world where at the end of every few days a powerful and monstrous entity comes, lol, to beat your ass. To prepare for this recurring event, you venture through one of 3 worlds, gathering new equipment and battling smaller foes for money to buy even more new and powerful equipment. Add to that some special NPCs and secrets and voila, there is a gameplay loop. Your goal is to become as powerful as possible in order to face the ever-increasing threats as well as the end boss at the end of every level. So how do we do this? Naturally, there are basic stats to increase. Health, speed and armor. Health is your health. Logically, armor is the value from which hit points get subtracted before your health. Speed is determining who has the first strike. Oh yeah, battle is automatic. Yeah, sorry, you can't do shit once the battle is initiated. But that is where the mathematical magic happens. Battle is divided in different sections, and let's call those events that can trigger different things. Something can happen at battle start, at the start of turns, when you lose armor, when your health falls below half, and dozens of other conditions that can be triggered by your equipment or things your enemies throw at you. The grid to the left shows the equipped items, and sorting those in an intelligent way is the key to success, since they trigger one after another. This is particularly important for battle start triggers, as those happen only once and you can come up with pretty wild combinations to give you a crazy head start entering each fight. There are tons of ways to create your build, and no amount of explaining and time can encompass all the possibilities. There's no right or wrong, there's only winning or losing. Looking at no Thorns hoarders in particular. Yeah, some items are or were very OP, but the devs push out regular updates to balance the game so no strat can really outweigh another. Finally, a word about the stages and different game modes. For now there are 2 single player levels, to which a third and final one will be added eventually. Both play very similarly, yet very differently. The basics are the same, but items and enemies are completely different ones. The way you navigate the world and what can be found also varies drastically between the 2 stages. So earlier I said single player. Yes, there is multiplayer in this game, both indirect and since recently also direct. In Kingmaker mode you battle through a world that is a mixture of the 2 others. At the end of each week you don't battle against a big monster, but you battle against some player that reached the same milestone while playing Kingmaker. That player at that moment is unaware of the battle you are gonna have with them, but they still fight you as a ghost, since He Is Coming is an auto-battler and their loadout fights for them, so to speak. I find this an incredible and exciting idea, and I wonder how many of my own ghosts already took out other players. 2 other factors that elevate this to even greater heights is the fact that you can wear a bunch more equipment, giving you more possibilities to strategize. And, this is a crazy cherry on top, you have to choose your available items from the pools from the other 2 levels. Every level item set is divided into 3 bundles and you can mix and match 3 of them in total. This fact will make you come up with crazy builds that can unleash incredibly powerful combos. Being a master of a pure item set combination can also be a force to be reckoned with, so no need to be shy and play with what you are more familiar with. But beware, your enemies don't necessarily have the same item sets and they can wipe you out with completely different strategies, unable for you to replicate during that run. At the end of the day, it all comes down to careful planning, anticipation, but also a little bit of luck regarding item drops. Personally, I suck at Kingmaker. I literally never beat a so-called undefeated champion, so my name has never graced the face of the leaderboards, not even for a second. This game is tough and people are crazy, but I still love it with its minimalistic approach that hides an infinitely complex web of ever-increasing possibilities. Oh yeah, and I also mentioned direct multiplayer, which is a new feature. I have not yet tried this, but as far as I understand, this is like Kingmaker, but you actually play it out in more or less real time with a friend. You meet up at the end of each week for battle, and best out of 5 or so wins the game. This is different from Kingmaker, as you always battle the same opponent, and you can better adapt to their strategy, unless they replace all their items every week, which I think would be a dumb idea? I don't know. Yet. But the game, as it is one of my favorite experiences from this year. And if you're looking for a challenging and brainy, yet sort of stress-free game, He Is Coming might be for you. Outsmart everyone with your math skills and you shall become a champion too. Also here, there's a demo out you can easily try and your progress carries over to the main game, so no excuse to not at least give it a try. When I am talking about an unexpected indie title with a minuscule studio behind it that blew everyone's mind and became a worldwide success, the game I mean of course is Mage Arena. It was a big success among streamers and casual players alike, and I am totally getting on that bandwagon. Mage Arena is a capture the flag, king of the hill blend that opposes sorcerers against warlocks in an ancient and everlasting battle to death. Dominion over the magical realm and the annihilation of the other faction is the only acceptable outcome. With the power of magic, only you and your allies can help to resist the tyranny of our sworn enemies. Mage Arena somehow is the perfect game. You wanna know why? First, it is dirt cheap. In many places, a small bottle of water is more expensive than that. Second, you can and absolutely should play this with your friends, or against them if you feel mischievous. Third, you rain down magical death upon your foes by literally invoking the spells with your actual voice.
Fireball.
Fireball. It's like real magic, and I am losing my mind. Look, this is my mind-losing face. I actually really love this feature, and the chaos and fun that can ensue at any given moment is absolutely off the charts. You really gotta watch your words, because having a certain page open and saying something that vaguely sounds like that spell will make you fire that spell straight into your friend's butt. Or your own, or both. In the best case scenario though, your target is in the opposing team, which would score you a kill and an advantage. As long as the enemy main flag is up, however, they will respawn and probably come back for revenge. The map is divided in different biomes and pretty much each one holds a little secret or quest to be discovered, which can yield powerful items or spells. So you better get your wizard ass moving, because when the enemy has all the good stuff, it's basically GG. What? What do you mean, Doom? I could go on rambling about the crazy funny stuff I experienced and why I love it so much. When I said this is a perfect game, I meant it almost unironically. There are a lot of imperfections, look, I don't even need to explain. Haters would call this game friendslop, and even though I'm not a big fan of the term, I have to admit that it is very fitting. But I admit it only grudgingly and with nothing but love in my heart for this, and many other games of a similar type. Lethal Company was probably the real kickstart for this genre to become as popular as it is today, and it led to an upsurge of so many titles that have this certain je ne sais quoi. I find it an exciting evolution of game development, and no matter how sloppy those games might turn out, I am convinced that the primal idea behind most of those projects was to create a fun game to play with friends, no matter the restrictions or budget during development. And this is an approach I can respect. If a game is literally playable and fun, then what more could I demand? If I can cry tears of laughter and have a great time with friends despite some bugs and occasional unplanned chaos, then I go out very satisfied from my video gaming experience. It might sound weird, and this is a wildcard I am not willing to give to any game at any moment. Many things have to fall into place in a well-dosed manner in order for this to work. If your game is broken or not fun, if it's ugly AF or has dumb mechanics, I will probably hate it. But this is 100% a personal thing and different for every individual. Congrats! I just explained opinions and tastes. Thank me later. Also, Mage Arena. Cool and cheap game. Lots of fun. Would fireball again. Have you ever played a game that scratched two itches at the same time, even if you didn't know one of those two itches existed? Well, this happened to me, and it happened in the Halls of Torment. Have you ever played Diablo 1 or 2? Yeah, me neither. I played a shit ton of Diablo 3 though, and some of Path of Exile 1 and 2. At the end of the day, I must confess that those are not my favorite types of games after all. Either it gets too repetitive at some point, or it feels like a never-ending chore. I had my fair share of fun with friends though, so I have no regrets. Next question. Have you played Vampire Survivors? Yeah, me too. But after I played Halls of Torment. Those are the itches I've been talking about earlier. Halls of Torment somehow managed to satisfy my subconscious craving for some kind of dungeon crawling and looting, while also making me realize that bullet heaven games, how they are fittingly called, might be totally my thing. I find the style and charm here is incredible. It is the perfect homage to old school dungeon crawlers and games in general, made with this fake 3D style that doesn't use polygons, but instead very detailed pixel art and octo-directionally animated characters. It's gritty and grim, but very clear and precise. I also like how the few friendly NPCs are made and how they talk. It just gives off the exact right vibes for the spooky setting. You know, cursed world, lone hero, deep dungeons inhabited by unspeakable evils you must face alone while also potentially being cursed and doomed anyway. You get the picture. So your bread and butter is to delve into the halls, one after another. Through various meta progression elements and currencies you can increase the power of your heroes, while also being able to equip a full set of lootable armor and trinkets to further increase your might. Along that, there are of course also various means to increase the difficulty and thus also the rewards by entering more difficult halls, or later on in Torment mode that can be stacked ad nauseam with different artifacts to torment you even more. Get it? Add to that a ton of fun challenges that unlock currency, new skills, characters, halls and more. And you have yourself an addicting blend that encapsulates almost the totality of Vampire Survivors formula, but in a different code and with some small distinguishing features. Vampire Survivors also has this crazy comedic and over-the-top side to it that Halls of Torment lacks. Sure, you can always smile at the ridiculous build or maybe you find NPCs a little goofy, but the overall tone is rather serious and grim. I had lots of fun playing this. The progression feels very satisfying and the amount of challenge is just right, whereas it is customizable at any point. There are several heroes, of which each one is amazingly unique, offering an endless amount of builds to work and experiment with to smite the unholy creatures of the caverns. I highly recommend this game, and I mean this game. As a little heads up, there's a freemium version of the game for mobile devices. That is not the same game. Well, it is, but it has different developers somehow and it contains a million microtransactions that are just unnecessary to stuff and mechanics that were also unnecessary in the first place. You know, your classical free-to-play cash grab bullshit. Do yourself a service and just buy the game for the mere currency it costs. It might be worth it if anything here also scratched an itch or two for you. Imagine the apocalypse, but make it cute. This is how the devs describe their own game, Doloc Town. And I mean, they are quite right. Doloc Town plays in a world ravaged by some huge catastrophe, very probably human-made, and the lands are barren, toxic and filled with aggressive attack drones. Enter the child. Or Proti, how she's called apparently. You are presumably an orphan girl that got lost in the wild and stranded in Doloc Town, where some people have managed to uphold some form of society, trying to come by. Everyone is really friendly and helpful, so I guess this is the cute part of the apocalypse, since all the implications the game makes towards what has happened sound rather bleak and devastating. You are granted the little free spot at the left of the town's outskirts and are tasked to start living a post-apocalyptic farmer's life. The cat now being out of the bag, Doloc Town is a farming sim with all the implications this entails. Grow crops, herd animals and forage different stuff outside the safe borders of society, where dangers and quests await. So we got pretty much all the standard ingredients everyone knows and loves. What makes Doloc Town special in this line of games is that it is presented in a 2D sideways style. Although your farming land is located on a single straight plane, the game allows you to build vertically, by placing new buildings or simply by placing shelves. Also, crops don't just grow in the soil on the ground. You need to craft pots by collecting and assembling literal trash in order to be able to grow anything. Yeah, the trash economy. This is quite fun and interesting. You can find a plethora of different things from simple cardboard to complex electrical components and everything in between. Tires, cables, you name it. Anything that really shouldn't lie around in the forest. This is the bread and butter of basically anything you can do and achieve in this game. Sure, there are other resources that you can use or sell, but I found myself acting like a literal trash goblin, more eager to loot the ever-stretching fields of garbage rather than progressing on my farm. I also wonder who is this pig who perpetually scatters these ungodly amounts of trash bags. I mean, not even mad, just wondering, since the world is already kind of a big mountain of trash in itself. And trash is pretty useful. As already briefly mentioned earlier, this trash is heavily guarded by all kinds of fiends, many of them being of robotic nature. Implications. But we are just a little girl in an oversized lab coat and a thus far purely aesthetical welding mask. Fear not, as you can very soon own your personal flying robot companion who will protect you. This combat mechanic is very interesting as it is a little hard to handle at first, but it makes you want to perpetually improve your drone so you can explore further and more greedily. You still have to keep yourself out of harm's way, but your drone is invincible and is only bound by the power you are granting it to wield. With all these tools and knowledge in hand and mind, you are ready to explore. Uncover the secrets of this world, discover new areas, new people and make them your friends and allies in order to grow back a little bit of hope in a cute but devastated world. Doloc Town is released in early access, as not all the mechanics, locations and story bits are implemented. The cattle and the relationship system with the townies is also new to me, so I cannot comment much on that yet. Doloc Town is a unique game, while making use of all the mechanics every farming sim enjoyer is familiar with. It is a growing project, and I am here to see how it all unfolds. I had a very good time up until now, the level of challenge and the amount of player-motivated progress being on a very enjoyable level. The game explains everything at some point, but in the end it doesn't hold your hand that much and you gotta figure out yourself how to farm effectively and how to overcome the challenges that life and nature throw at you. How it is presented and how it plays, it sometimes feels a little bit like a chill farming Metroidvania, as the world around is very interconnected and shortcuts are unlocked by sheer curiosity or by achieving various milestones. I love the style, I love the vibes, I love how I have to think out of the box in order to get to my goals. And maybe this is all I need to make the world a better place again. Everyone loves camping with the boys, eh? Untouched nature, crystal clear water, mountains, lush pine trees, fresh air. But alas, the trip nears its end and we all have to go back home. A quick cigarette and a beer and let's all get into the RV and... Road closed. Oh well, I actually know a shortcut. After having played a bunch of Peak, RV There Yet was a welcome change of pace, as it is once again one of those games. You know, friend slop. Also yeah, honorable mention to Peak. I love the game and I'd like to talk about it as well, but I feel like Mage Arena and RV There Yet share enough similarities with Peak that reviewing it would be kind of redundant. Okay, come on fast, because it's Peak. In Peak you survive a plane crash, alone or with some friends, and you have to ascend different mountainous areas to finally reach the peak where you can be rescued and brought back home. Different biomes present different challenges, cooperation and ungodly amounts of trolling each other are what make this game so addictively fun. It can be very tough if you are unlucky with daily level rotations, but with a bit of training, perseverance and maybe some help from your friends once in a while, you will be able to overcome the challenges in this fun and charming cooperative climber game. Peak is cool and cheap, go have fun with your friends. Back to the review I actually wanted to focus on. RV There Yet is a cooperative game in which you gotta find your way back to the closed highway in order to return home. A very scrunkly map and your sense of orientation are the only tools that help you in this task. And your friends, of course. Quick heads up, I am strongly led to believe that the game is unbeatable alone, as some parts seem to require at least one guy doing a certain thing and the other guy steering the RV. Oh yeah, the RV, I almost forgot. This is your precious, your one and all, your noble shining steed in a cruel and hostile world. The RV has it all. comfy seats, a bunch of storage, a restroom for changing your style, and even a tape radio. And it drives like... well, it drives like ass. Keeping an overview over this monstrous carriage is sheer impossible, and you will ram trees and tumble down steep slopes. What I really like is that you actually have to change gears while making the right movement with your mouse hand. This is very cool, but also very ass. Okay, I stop saying stuff is ass or else you are not gonna believe me, it is actually good. After many hours of playing, I have come to a point where I consider the RV like a big baby. You have to care for it, protect it, but you also need to lead it onto the right path. But since it is a big baby, this is not always easy, as babies are kind of dumb and clumsy and rarely do what you tell them to do, even if you try really hard. No offense, babies, you did nothing wrong. So you gotta lead your big clumsy RV through the rough wilderness, overcoming seemingly impossible odds while chasing the next checkpoint. RV There Yet is not an easy game, and some parts are really hard to overcome, as you always gotta respect the laws of physics and gravity. Like if you can do whatever the hell you want, and if you know that there is a shortcut, it is worth trying out 100% of the time. You see, what makes RV There Yet unique is that I rarely had the game beckon to me, saying, "Break me," like in the sense of sequence breaking. Because at the time of writing this, I have finished the first stage and seen the credits, but I have not seen like probably 3/4 of it. There's this sense of what feels like a mixture of being lost and being adventurous that made me play the game like this. Also, huge shout out to my friend Aga, who is always up to no good in video games. We would try the most ridiculous shortcuts and pull off the most physically impossible feats just to progress, and sometimes to skip huge parts of the game. I find it crazy that this is possible to do. I mean, being able to sequence break is most often of the times a thing that is not intended by the developers. Glitches or gaps in the game's geometry are usually something that belongs on the patch note list. But in RV There Yet, it doesn't feel like you are breaking something. You just take another route. And the devs most certainly intentionally designed the game that way. They could have easily placed unscalable walls or trees that are too densely spaced to drive through, or just anything that would prevent the mere thought of trying. Instead, the world is open, full of hidden ways or even large, easily traversable plains that are hidden from the quote-unquote intended path. It's funny because I feel low-key bad for breaking the game and having missed a bunch of content and puzzles. But I also feel totally badass that we skipped like 10 checkpoints, cutting the game time and our available patience by a big margin. Because I must say, some puzzles just seem crazy. They give you like 2 planks and tell you, yeah, go traverse the Grand Canyon. I'm not saying that I will not eventually try to achieve this, but I was very glad that coming up with something totally different also solved the problem. Sometimes even more problems yet unknown to me. I find this unmentioned game mechanic deserves a round of applause, and it is probably the main reason why I even finished the game. I will come back and try to make the whole voyage in the intended way, because some secrets are still left to be uncovered, and outside of the story you create with your friends, there's a hidden story lying dormant and you have to chase its bits and pieces in order to get the bigger picture. I highly recommend RV There Yet if you are a fan of this type of games. Be warned that it is kinda tough and of course totally not free of bugs and jankiness. You have to be creative and ingenious, be willing to try out and learn all the mechanics and be prepared for anything. Either master the puzzles or try to get around them. In any case, you are responsible to get your big baby RV back on the road, whatever it takes. As a player since Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, but only an enjoyer since Monster Hunter World, I can confidently say that the new Monster Hunter Wilds seriously delivers. What a game, oh my. A perfect blend of the best elements from World and Rise, perfected into one of the buttery smoothest gameplay experiences ever, all across the 14 weapon types. It plays like heaven, and never had we hunters had more control over our attacks. It is just gorgeous. The environments are breathtaking and fun to explore. The changing day and nighttime cycles as well as the different weather conditions make for an absolutely breathtaking and immersing experience that also quite prominently bleeds over into its story in a phenomenal way. Monster Hunter Wilds, funnily enough, is somehow a sequel to Monster Hunter 4. Jammer, for example, was Little Miss Forge back then. How deep it is actually interconnected, I don't know, but this is not the point. As always, the hunter's main task is to research the monsters and learn about the environment. And also slaying hundreds upon hundreds of them to keep that natural balance intact. I know, I find it as silly as I find it okay to justify our endless slaughter of the wildlife. The balance of the environment. but it's okay, it's a video game. Wilds introduces a never-before-seen twist into the story that is as silly as it is interesting. Roughly 95% of the people that live here, and they live mostly like cavemen, don't know what a weapon or even a tool is. They see your hammer and go, They use knives to cut their cheese though, but it seems to be totally foreign to them to see someone carrying a tool or a weapon, even more someone using it to murder a monster. I know, this is super derpy and 100% non-realistic, but we just have to accept that fact in order for the story to work. The people in this world are as peaceful as they are humble, and they treat nature and their surroundings with the utmost respect and cautiousness. Call it cowardice, or call it enlightenment, but they would never think of inflicting violence onto a monster. Imagine the same would count for other people, which I must strongly assume at this point. This paints an interesting picture of people that live in the same world with the same dangers as the hunters, but have taken a very different approach to survival and coexistence with the monsters. Since, like, forever. Because we are the first outside contact they had since, forever. The arrival of the hunters is equally a shock as it means salvation for them. They simply cannot comprehend how we are capable of what we are doing, but are thankful for the help nonetheless. I mean, of course they are. If I had to nitpick, I'd wished for a slightly more nuanced take on the non-violence versus only violence debate. There's barely a clash between them, only on a few select occasions, which, despite everything, always end with, "What? Violence was the answer after all, eh? Step aside, peasants." Jokes aside, I don't want to play down that I genuinely enjoyed the story and its characters. I mean, for the first time in Monster Hunter, there are actual characters with personalities. I'll tolerate no hate against the handler from Monster Hunter World, but I will also full-heartedly admit that she has absolutely no ounce of personality, as have all the other characters. They usually have one trope, one thing going on, and that's it. But who cares, you know? Hunt monsters, save the environment, everyone happy. That is enough, but it's not a lot. Wilds elevates the status of both monsters and humans alike. The monsters are genuinely a threat again, to people that would stand absolutely no chance against them. All while both parties being an integral part of an ecosystem that has been shaken by unknown forces. This might sound like nothing, or like the same thing all over again, but I don't really want to spoil too much here. Monster Hunter Wilds is a phenomenal game that refines its formula to near perfection, delivering a power fantasy that peaks on the gameplay level. It tells a deeper and richer story than usual, taking a slightly more philosophical turn on the lore and the factual happenings at hand. The characters themselves evolve, change, adapt as the story progresses, and I found all of them likable, or at least I understand their point to some degree. Yeah, even you, Werner, you impertinent dork. Barely mentioned or praised, and I almost forgot it to do it myself, is the fact that your own character is also a real person now. Over are the days of silent nods and pointed fingers to convey the total spectrum of your emotions and ambitions. No, you are a fully voiced person that forges bonds with others and has a will of his own. Not to mention Monster Hunter's long history in multiplayer, which is, as always, very fun and very recommended to use. This might also be the beginner-friendliest entry in the series, as it controls like a charm. I just want to underline that a third time since it's just so awesome. Next game. Sorry for my joke earlier, but to conclude this video I really need to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. If you haven't been living under a rock, you most certainly heard about this game and the tremendous success it had among players and critics alike. It swooped away basically every available prize at the Game Awards, and in my opinion this is also 100% deserved. I don't know where to start and I don't know where to finish, and I hope to keep this section to a similar length to the others, so just let's go. Clair Obscur is as modern a game can be at our current time and age. Despite being officially an indie game, and their first that is, rarely if ever have I witnessed something of such high quality, in any aspect. The graphics are cutting edge and the whole world is mesmerizingly beautiful, while also being completely destroyed. The characters are full of life and personality, and they undergo drastic developments during their epic adventure into the unknown. Fighting enemies is as satisfying as turn-based combat can be, and mastering the different systems, skills and weapons fulfilled all my nerdy min-maxing needs, and oh boy, can your builds be crazy powerful in this game. The story is vast and deep and is told in such brilliant ways, both directly and through cryptic hints. You just have to see it through the end. So these are, let's say, the technicalities of Clair Obscur, with some vague fanboying. But what else did Clair Obscur do? What did it do to me? You know what? Fuck the script. It always felt wrong, and I feel I have to be brutally honest with everything I'm just gonna say, and I have to say it with my full heart. So let's try this. Clair Obscur showed me that art isn't dead. It's not the AI overlord tech bro idiots that rule this market. It's people with a vision and with a heart and with passion. People that understand the human condition and relationships between them. They know what loss does to them and grief, but also ambition and a sense of duty and a strong will to overcome hardships, with brain power and community and standing together against a force that's apparently bigger and stronger than they are. Also, most games I talk about in this video are cute pixel art or wacky style or more minimalistic. And I'm usually not the guy who has to have this realistic, cutting-edge 3D graphics. You know, I don't need a full animated face to know what's going on if it's well written. If the words make sense and if you have a feeling for the characters, you know what they mean, no matter how they are made. But goddamn am I in awe of what is being made here. Those characters are like realer than anything I've ever seen. Maybe I have not played enough video games in my life, but my mind was blown. I want to show you the exact moment where the scales kind of tipped for me. Because there was a friend of me who streamed the game in Discord for me, and he was like, hey, check out this game, it's super cool and new, have you heard about it? And I was like, come on, show me. I was not really aware of what was happening. Like, I knew about the paintress, you know, no spoiler alert, it's in the trailer, but anything else was completely foreign to me. And here's the scene where you meet up with Ciel again. Look at the moves, look at her look, and then if the scene unfolds, just everything they say, it is, how should I describe this? I had so many feelings in this scene. It was like, ooh, is she being flirty or is she being, a little bit cheeky or taunting? I didn't know the relationship between those two. They could be a couple or just friends or they never met. I didn't have any information, but I already got so many informations about this character without even knowing her. Even if they were all assumptions, some of those feelings proved to be right. Lyn also has this power to just strike you down with 1,000 yards there that says more like 1,000 words. It's crazy. It happens so many times in the game that she just looks at someone in disbelief or just a blank look, but you know what she wants to say, you know what she thinks, and you know why she doesn't. It's also a huge shout out to Mal, who is like the best written teenager in video game history, I'd say. Yeah, she's amazing. There, I said it. Fight me. And I want to underline again that this is a huge feat for me. It's like they made these people feel real. I low-key feel those people are realer than some people in our real reality, It's crazy. Maybe I am crazy, but it's just how I feel. This inherent realism the game exposes made me think of many things. Especially of people I know from my life, my siblings, my parents, my friends, strangers even. It had me in this constant state of reflection and my views and my opinions of things shifted along with the characters. I can relate to every character in some sort if you have learned to know them, their past and even their present, or just their opinions about others or their work or whatever they do. I couldn't help but feel connected to them. Clair Obscur also somehow taught me how to grieve, even though I should be a master at that by now. Not like I had lost many people's, pets, friends, family members in my life. But if these things happen, it somehow always feels like a new challenge. You cannot be prepared for that. You cannot learn it. You can get better at it, but there's always a little piece that cannot overcome it, or at least not immediately. It always takes time. You cannot shrug it off immediately. For me, Clair Obscur came like an helping hand, a saving anchor, a bright light, or whatever metaphor you want to use. Usually it's Miyazaki and From Software that push out the game when my life is at a new low, when someone died or there was a breakup, or when life just sucked. Miyazaki would push out an incredibly hard game I could overcome and thus overcome the hardships in my own life. Thanks to that, Miyazaki. So Clair Obscur was very welcome, even though I didn't know it. I played it and I was totally swept away by all the emotions, all the good ones, but especially the bad ones. They managed to do that in a so graceful way, so honest, and never, it never feels like Pixar bullshit. It's real. You can relate. What is there not to relate? It doesn't mean that it's dumb or simple or single-minded. No, it's just obvious what is happening, why people think that way, how they handle it, how they struggle with handling it, and how they can come to each other for help. And sometimes even they can't go to someone or don't want to go to someone for help or to be consoled over their grief or their pain. Pain that many characters took with them their whole life, or pain that has been freshly created, like a new searing wound gnawing at the expeditioners, differently for everyone in their own way. Clair Obscur hasn't made me unable to grieve. It made me a little bit better, while also making me grieve for characters that are not even real. As a student and amateur of the fine arts, I'd say this is an exceptional catharsis. Rarely have I been swept away like this by a video game. I could name Nier Automata. That comes pretty close. If I remember correctly, those are literally the only two games that make me shed actual tears. With Nier Automata it took until the very end, I think, but Clair Obscur had me like right in the beginning. Even though I knew what was happening right in the beginning, I couldn't help myself. Certainly this is also due to the great mise-en-scène and the gut-wrenching emotions the game just pushes into your face, and the music and just what is happening. It's just sad, man. What the fuck, it's so sad and it's unfair. You don't know why it happens. The people don't know why it happens. What is this? Oh my god. And still you see him talking about it in very different tones. Some are mad, some are sad, some are devastated. Some see it like a prophecy, some see it like salvation. Some say, hey, this is just how it is, we cannot be mad, we just have to deal with it. And we can deal with it since it comes every year until we are extinguished. But people in Lumiere still make a celebration out of it. They want to make the best out of it, even if the feelings can't be helped. And I find this is just a beautiful thing, and no words can make justice to what is happening, what is being told. You just have to experience it yourself. I think this concludes the free-form rambling of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I highly recommend the game if you hadn't noticed by now, so go play this game or watch a Let's Play. Get into it somehow, it is so worth it. So, these were the games that left a lasting impression on me last year, at least for the newer ones. I hope there was something in there that suits your taste, and I wish you much enjoyment while playing it. Any constructive criticism is welcome, since it's the first time I made a video of this size with so much thinking and testing and everything going on. So go into the comments, do the things, no matter what you say, YouTube loves it. Also let me know what your favorite games this year were, I'm eager to hear it. Look, it's my eager to hear it face. Also some links down there to click, to follow, to have fun with, and I'd say Happy New Year and see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.